I'm a little Omegon, short and stout. Here's my teapot, here's all of my internet clout. Speaking of Omegon... Hello!
Good afternoon, Alex.
Mr. Omegon, sir, how are you, darling? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you very much, mate, for asking. Appreciate it. What can I do for you, sir?
In keeping with the promise I made with my audience at the end of my last Content Constable, I said that this one would be a collaboration, and I decided it will be with you, if you're down for it, and it's Social Repose.
Okay, so you want me to be in the video then again. Well, I'm not going to be doing any sections as Lord Bear again this time, mate.
That's fine, Lord Bear can suck one for all I care. I would like this, though, to be very much a collaborative effort between you and I, so everything down the middle, we all work it out. Any ideas you have, please feel free to present them now.
Well, I have an idea for my sections already. Go ahead and just tell me what you want me to cover in the video.
Much like with Nikocado Avocado, I want to present this as good, bad, and ugly, because there are always going to be good aspects to somebody somewhere, and I think we should certainly look into that. I think it only right that after we do an introduction, a timeline, we should then go through these three and end with final thoughts, and split it all evenly so as to best showcase our talents, and also present information as concisely and factually as possible.
So you want me to do the good and the third section, but this good, bad, ugly format, I mean, it's all well and good and everything, but ugly with him? I mean, surely that will be covered in the bad section, right?
I think it depends on how we approach it. It's always possible some of it can bleed into more aspects that can in fact be deemed ugly.
Well, you know, for my bits, I could dress up like Social Repose if you wanted to, mate.
You think so? That would be quite the challenge.
I mean, granted, I couldn't do the eye contacts and everything, but I could dress up like him.
It's not a bad idea then, really. I don't suppose if you're going to be tackling the good, you have any idea what could in fact qualify, do you?
Well, I suppose the good points would be things like his charisma, his talent with videography, some of the really good points that he used to make, like, you know, during the Leafy drama. There's a couple other things that I could certainly mention. And we could call the third section something along the lines of the real hipster or something like that.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Yes, I think we should get on with this.
Omegon, I'm ready to go. To be social recluse. Wow!
Hello and welcome to a brand new Content Constable. Today, I've got something a little bit different for you all. Previously, Content Constables have covered our favourite girls in the mukbang community. Amberlynn Reid, Foodie Beauty, and even Nikocado Avocado. But alas, I'm rather spent on the larger-than-life ladies and their shenanigans. The platform we call YouTube is practically bursting at the seams with special characters who regularly find themselves knee-deep in controversy, with calamity and chaos shortly following. Don't you just love cancel culture? To assist me in this mighty endeavour, I am joined by Alex from the Irate Alex channel. Say hello, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Sigh. Well, anyway, Alex and I will be taking a deep dive into someone who has existed on this platform for a very long time. This is someone who has been compared to Onision and is hugely unpopular, with multiple commentary channels already covering him at length recently. This creator is a very unique one, not only in appearance but in the manner of how he composes himself during and after heavy criticism. He is a musician, and arguably one of the most
Social Repose! We are covering Social Repose! For Christ's sake, Omegon!
We are covering the weird makeup, black eye contact wearing, feathery bird face man.
I was getting there.
No, you were not, sir. You were about to cover almost everything we have planned for this video during the bloody intro.
I was building suspense.
Can we at least do a diss track for this one?
No.
Ugh, sad face.
Well, hello, I'm Richie, or Social Repose, and this is my first video log, or blog.
So to the timeline, or as I want to call it from this moment on, the rise, fall, rage and grace. Yes, I'm an Offspring fan, don't at me. Richie started his channel in April of 2011, with uploads of original music, which reminded me a lot of the angsty teenage emo music from about 5 years earlier, an indication of when his particular genre perished. While using his channel as a platform to promote his own music, he would experiment with informed vlogs, or informal ones as well, where we discover that the name is a project, not a band, kinda like 9 Inch Nails, but significantly less successful. Not long after, he would start doing covers, which feature some good, some bad, and the less we speak about the Black Veil Brides in the end cover, the better. Someone at that point didn't know how to use keys. The headdress, that is somewhat synonymous with him, made its first appearance in 2014 in July. His views around that time started to go up consistently from then. Around this time, he was also releasing musical projects and EPs through Bandcamp as a way of negating labels, something which to this day he would still rather not have any involvement with, retaining all the rights to his music, which is something I can admire and respect. Very entrepreneurial of him. Using his channel to promote his music, of course, benefits him. Rumours were that he was inspired by Andy Biersack on body and face paint, along with his unique attire. Personally, I thought he was a rip-off of Wes Borland, but it turns out it's more than likely nearer to Andy Biersack and a number of other emo artists that started to use a lot of face paint. Someone's going to get triggered and say Andy Biersack is not emo. Okay. There were claims the headdress is cultural appropriation. I should say now, I fundamentally disagree. The origin and design of the attire, yes, has a history that is in fact cultural, but Richie adapted his to incorporate it within a larger character, in this case, Social Repose. As time progressed, Richie started to introduce more covers, but they were notably more popular songs within the charts at the time, along with those of music that he preferred. This is known because of the genres that he favoured were the very genres he frequented within his own music. The Wings, which he is also quite synonymous with, were introduced in early 2015. My belief at this time was that he was truly trying to find a way to stand out, and not be considered emo or goth, which he was considered on a number of occasions, something which he memed in videos, which I find to be quite amusing because one of the greatest traits he had at the time was that when it came to an attack on the character of Social Repose and not on Richie, he would ride it like a wave and then throw it back at you by owning it. By 2016, his cover videos are getting hundreds of thousands of views. His own music is doing reasonably well. His video views for vlogs are also smashing it, At this point, he was also collaborating with a number of other creators, some within his own genre, which would include Scream Kiwi and Eugenia Cooney. I say genre, that emo-gothy area. Between mid-2016 to 2017, it can be debated that this was around the time Social Repose peaked. This was his best time, and luckily, we had yet to hit the adpocalypse, so everything he made, even the edgier content, was fully monetized and smashing it, which meant he was able to go on tours, which meant he was able to meet a lot of fans, which meant he was able to travel abroad. But as with all creators, especially those that have risen so well like he has, let's not forget here his initial videos took a long time and a lot of perseverance to gain any discernible traction. There is a fall. His fall took place in 2018, which can be backed up by his social blade, which from that moment on went into a decline and rarely ever saw the peaks of 2016 to 2017 ever again. It can be debated that the content he produced, while he himself deemed edgy and cringy, was very typical of the time when that content was popular, because while it is deemed cringy now, back then it was edgy, it was funny. In mid-2016, Richie started dating Jacqueline Glenn, a well-known YouTube atheist. A few months later, they go public with their relationship and start featuring regularly on each other's channels. And on November 18th, 2016, they got married at the Luxor in Las Vegas. I will go into more detail about this relationship later, because the public fallout was astonishing. We could also talk about how this relationship went by so fast I almost blinked and missed it. They did collaborate together a number of times in music forms. In fact, one of Richie's songs is one of his most popular videos on his channel. The relationship didn't last too long though, and ended about a year later, not even that. Jacqueline put out a number of videos on this, some of which Richie responded to and deleted, but I've got them, we're okay. And it devolved further into diss tracks. We'll get to those as well. Once this happened, because of how Richie handled it, many channels pounced on this, and there was a rumour of his antics before this even happened that can go back to his early days in touring, meeting and greeting fans and meeting and greeting intimately fans. Because audience, one must take advantage of, yo. Right. Many did see through the facade, but as we all know, one of the more recent exes has said his charisma made it very hard to speak out, very hard to say no. And speaking out, especially when one had, at the time, such a large following, a dedicated following, one he had earned over years of hard work. After this, his views steadily start to decline. That would include the covers, the music, the vlogs, all of it, the Spotify even. And Richie carries on as if nothing happened. But I'll be honest, it failed, and he now gets as many views as 2013's Social Repose. The only difference now being, he is now in decline and not someone aspiring to succeed. He has actually made a video about his channel dying, and there were some key points where he references the adpocalypse.
When the first adpocalypse hit and YouTube started changing up their policies, and it was very slow, it's very gradual, it has taken nearly 3 to 4 years to kind of come full circle, but that's kind of where we're at today, with more family-friendly content, less edgy content, more focused on titles and thumbnails above quality, and kind of reinforcing copying trends rather than being independently creative.
Shortly after referencing negative comments, admitting that his actions have consequences.
In the past 2 to 3 years, obviously you can attribute it to many things, the changing landscape of YouTube, mixed with all the drama finally catching up to me.
References that channels do usually fail. But I disagree, because he still gets views. That doesn't mean his channel's failing, it just means it's not getting as many views. He talks about improving metadata and the effort it requires to do so.
I've talked to creators a lot bigger than me that are much more successful than me as far as numbers go, about how 50% of their entire creative process is making a thumbnail and title and metadata as opposed to making the actual video itself.
But also believes he's simply incapable of adapting to a changing market and system. under the guise of integrity.
If that's what I have to do to survive on YouTube, then I don't think I'm gonna survive on here.
He talks about creative, yet most of his views come from cover songs, and ignores advice from management in favour of original message of his channel. Sounds a bit arrogant, but typical of someone who doesn't want to adapt to fall back on what they were, because that worked out so well before, up till the moment he took advantage of his fans, which we'll get to soon. So now we have current year Richie, who's released a new album, and has clawed and scratched to try and find a way to regain some semblance of relevancy by not changing how he has approached anything since the fall from grace, and instead seeks to blame rather than evolve, because stagnation is renowned for its long-term positively received success. More women have started coming forward since the original tea was spilt, all of them painting a rather damning picture, which I'm going to get into later. Before that though, we are now going to pass over to the social recluse, who is going to give you the rational or creative muse.
Fly! 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 God, I don't know how Social Repose does this, to be perfectly honest with you guys. Honestly, Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Social Recluse, aka Rae Dael, and I will be covering two of the three faces of Richie, aka Social Repose. Omegon does these videos in a way that I quite like, in that you cover the timeline, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That way, the video isn't 100% negative. And so for this first section of the three, I will be covering the positives of Richie. We shall call this Social Repose, the Rational Muse. Now, I actually used to be a fan, a subscriber of Social Repose. Back in 2016, when he was getting himself into all kinds of different drama with people like Leafy is Here and so on. One of the things that I always admired about the man is that he was more than willing to accept various forms of criticism. In fact, two forms of criticism that you'll often see used on YouTube on a regular basis, and it's often the type that sets most creators off into perpetual victim mode, is satire and parody. And Social Repose, Richie just embraced it, with titles such as Goth or Emo Reacts. He even made such rational statements in these two videos.
So, it finally happened. I've been waiting for this to happen for a few months now since I learned of Leafy's existence. I did a react video to his channel as a whole, or at least the drama between him and H3H3. As of late last night, I was notified on my Instagram that Leafy made a video about my Island of Yours music video. And to be perfectly honest, I was terrified when I heard the news, furiously excited at the same time. And I'm gonna be totally honest here, besides all the continuous shots at my ridiculous outfit, other than that, Leafy was pretty kind. He didn't really say one mean comment about the music. He even admitted to watching some of my content and saying that it wasn't that bad. And I also went to check the Island of Yours music video comment section. Unsurprisingly, the first 10 or 15 top-rated comments were from Leafy supporters. Hello. So I'm going to talk about kind of a cliche topic today, but it's very close to home for me, and it's bullying. I kind of just get a lot of comments from people asking for advice on what they should do. They're being bullied, they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to deal with it. And I feel like I have a lot of experience in the realm growing up, and generally how I dealt with it when I was kind of a lot younger in school was I kind of wrote them off. I was very passive towards it. I mean, I definitely did get aggressive a couple times, which kind of wasn't the way to deal with this stuff. I kind of always compare all the bullies in my teenage years to internet trolls. How pretty much if you let them get under your skin and you let their words mean something when they say terrible things to you, you're just kind of feeding the troll and letting them in and kind of giving them what they want, as opposed to if you're passive and you kind of shrug them off and you're just like, whatever, dude, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't have to, if it doesn't have any weight, it doesn't mean anything. And I just know that people in the comments and other folks are going to say, but Richie, you make those hate videos, and that's kind of like bullying, because I have received comments and messages on my hate videos saying, hey, you're calling out people and you're trashing them personally and you're just kind of being all around just mean. And I'm going to make a quick statement about that. I make those hate videos to make a point, to tell people that if you leave a rude comment, you can't hide behind your shield of the internet and your profile. You're not safe if you're rude and mean. And believe me, I know the difference between constructive criticism and just being a and I choose the comments accordingly. No one will ever persuade me to blur out the names, because the people that I choose in those comments that are super rude and should not have been typed out in the first place, because I'm in a position of power, doesn't mean people can bully me and say awful.
With getting as much negative and positive attention and criticism as he was back in 2016, I was very impressed by these statements. These are the kinds of attitudes that all YouTubers should have, and it's just a damn shame that he has pretty much given up this kind of attitude and is now pushed himself towards this perpetual victimhood narrative, begging iNabber and Mr. Epsilon and all the different commentary channels to stop bringing up these things when he himself
is unable to stop bringing up the various controversies that he's got himself into, whether it's through a video or through his music. One piece of criticism that I certainly do not agree with, some content creators out there, and some fans as well, have taken to comparing him to Onision, which I do not think is a fair criticism of Richie. Did he cheat on Jacqueline Glenn? Yes. Did he continually talk about his channel falling apart? Yes. Did he use mental health as a form of manipulation against Jacqueline Glenn and other people? Yes. And did he also use his power dynamic as a much bigger YouTuber to have, shall we say, carnal relations with female fans? Yes. But did he try to start his own cult? No. Did he create a website in order for underage female fans to send in lewd pictures of themselves so he could rate their bodies? No. Does Richie actually have a personality? Yes. Whereas Onision tends to react to all forms of criticism with a sociopathic tendency to be utterly emotionless, Richie's a bit different, but he does I will of course give you that he does act like a giant victim about everything. All that said, however, over the years, social reposts, Richie has proven himself to be a very charismatic and talented individual, with multiple songs and music videos that are actually quite visually appealing. Now, of course, I am a fan of rock music and metal myself, and not all of his songs appeal to me, but one does have to admit that the man is definitely a talented individual who can quite clearly sing well, even rap well. I mean, there are those videos that he, where he takes hate comments and turns them into songs. I mean, I wish I thought of that first, to be honest. And quite a few of his music videos are visually stunning. Okay, obviously, some of them you can blatantly tell that there's like a hidden message or whatever in them, but they are very, very well done, all things considered. And you gotta admit, social reposts, messing around with a flamethrower, I mean, that's amazing. And up until his channel completely collapsed through things that should have been very, very private, might I add, his channel was doing very well. It did very well from around 2016 all the way through to 2018. And he knew how to play the game on YouTube. Emo reacts, goth reacts to this, even allowing what was known as Leafy's very toxic fan base to laugh at him, and he just embraced everything back then. And Richie, if you do happen to watch this, mate, I just want you to know that I do acknowledge one thing about you that I really like, and it's been a constant throughout the last 8 or 9 years that you've been on YouTube. You are a self-made man. Even your first ever videos 8 years ago did fairly well and were quite creative, considering that you didn't have the know-how to film various videos, and you didn't exactly have much of a budget. But through Bandcamp, you've made not only a name for yourself and been able to have live concerts and have thus become a much, much better performer as time has gone on, but you haven't been totally reliant on things like ad revenue and whatnot, and you didn't have to sell your soul in order to make your music more popular. And really the last kind of positive that I do want to give him, because we don't want the entire video to be completely negative, is that Richie has proved himself to be rather courageous in that he has got dressed up, made himself look like a big moth thing, and gone out into public dressed like that, put himself out there in front of, well, millions, as the man has culminated millions of views over the years. Right, Omegon, can I stop saying positive things about the perpetual victim boy now? Because, well, he does annoy me as a former subscriber of his, and also this get-up, not the most comfortable, I'll be honest. Cheers.
So to the irrational egotist, For this, we're going to use two incidents that are set a couple of years apart, and they best exemplify how Richie deals with personal drama. Because as Alex, or the social recluse, showed you, he handles criticism on the social Repose character quite well, but he doesn't handle it very well when it becomes Richie attacks. For this, we're going to start with Jacqueline Glenn. Yeah, you all know about this, but I'm going to give you the Cliff's Notes. It can be argued the Jacqueline Glenn incident was the start of his monumental fall. Within Jacqueline Glenn's video, there are some very key points. At 1 minute 30, she references something that he says in subsequent videos he makes on her, that he was proud to be with her, which I now in retrospect think is nothing more than a lie he repeatedly churned out as a means to try and make someone feel more comfortable with him while he continued to be what he normally is, and therefore the only reason he had Jacqueline in the first place was for views, something which is in fact confirmed by his channel with the videos they feature in, along with creative ideas that she predominantly created, something which he does actually attribute her for. Of the gripes Jacqueline had during her relationship with Richie, the thing that really bugged her the most about it was that she truly believed she was in a safe relationship with him because of how public they were as a couple. Now, Richie did try and save face on Twitter by playing victim before Jacqueline had even had a chance to address it, knowing that his fanbase would believe him without giving Jacqueline a chance, something she mentions in her video. So what did Richie do? Not long into the relationship with Jacqueline Glenn, Richie was on tour. He was also at the same time still in contact with an ex, who at the time was also dating somebody else, something referenced in a future video we'll get to soon. On a tour at a New Jersey show, the ex went to that event, and Social Repose admits to having a quickie with her in a bathroom, something which Jacqueline was able to confirm when she went through his phone, which, along with some rather lewd pictures, didn't help her at all, really, did it? When Jacqueline confronted Richie about this, in the most deadpan delivery possible, all he does is admit he did wrong, which then led to Jacqueline leaving the tour, which was subsequently cancelled, and she went to stay with her father, who, by the way, burned Richie in a video, calling him, I believe,
socially repulsive.
It's interesting to note that Richie did at first try to deflect all of this by making excuses for the explicit photos and the messages, to then go on to deflect to focus on his European tour, going so far as to tell Jacqueline that she was in fact ruining the tour. So what happened after? Richie gave a response, which is no longer on his channel, but thankfully somebody archived it, because while he thinks the internet can be deleted, he forgets, once it's on the internet, it will never leave the internet. During it, I counted 6 excuses in this video. This 10-minute video, he made 6 excuses. Now, he believes the relationship was happy, yet he was cheating early into it. And while I can agree with him that the camera paints a picture, the statement I just made about the happy relationship contradicts this very comment he made, admitting that he cheated on the ex before Jacqueline, which proves he has a track record and history, and even his old mate Onision dogpiled him for cheating in his last public relationship, which is interesting because that can actually be traced back to a stream Onision did where he spoke about it, because the ex went and stayed at Onision's. Oh boy, when Onision looks good for a second, if you can get through all the bump, oh dear lord.
But Social Repose doesn't have a lot of opinions out there. He tends to actually look at what people like and then say what he knows they want to hear.
So to the excuses, because you're going to want these. Excuse 1. He fobs off everything under the, and let's air quote this, deep-seated issues, and then laughs about it. It's deep-rooted, but okay. The second, he talks of his fear of confronting her because of how attached she got so early into their relationship. Right, because both of these totally validate cheating. The third excuse, he has tried therapy and felt it didn't work. The fourth, refuses to get medication for his depression because, again, he doesn't think it works. Excuse number 5, that the whole thing was make-believe which then made him talk to his ex. 7 minutes 10 seconds into that video, by the way, if you're interested in just looking at it. And the final excuse. He talks about the channel and his motivations, which doesn't seem relevant at all, and he believes that he is a workaholic and the social repose brand is very important to him because he's a workaholic. His video is arguably one of the worst apologies and context providers I've ever seen, which is what the video is meant to be. Context, which he says in the video.
So I'd like to give some very descriptive details of my own, not to slander Jacqueline or anything, just to kind of, I guess, give you a deeper context.
And an apology. It also served as a lesson not learned, as he repeated this very thing a few years later. This then led on to, let's say, diss tracks, because of Twitter arguments and Jacqueline getting incredibly vocal, as is her right when scorned like that. He goes on to do a spoken word style rap, which was nothing more than emo cliche, victimhood, and acting like he's above everything, while intentionally using lyrics to try and make himself look vulnerable and show that he has the possibility to have introspection. He still persisted in making these same mistakes. Jacqueline did respond to it with a video, which then led on to another song from Social Repose, reading her tweets, all of which are out of context and not in date alignment at all, meaning they are selected solely so he can frame a message and just show her tweets at the same time for his message, which made no sense at all, which concluded with the father roasting him by calling him socially repulsive, and Jacqueline reading the text messages that she had access to. Just want to throw this in here because it seems relevant. After the breakup, he took one of her messages, and notes in fact, that she wrote to him, and then sold it to fans. You're a classy boy, aren't you? He has been, for the most part, cancelled. If cancel culture is a thing, that's what happened to him. But the story didn't end there, did it? No, that's 2018. We're now in 2020, so what happened now? Royal Pain, an ex-girlfriend of Social Repose, makes a video detailing her relationship with him, which is a damning statement of similar behaviour he had exhibited in 2018, and goes on to do an interview with FPS Diesel, something which Social Repose also does, which makes him look like a massive idiot. During Royal Pain's video, she paints a damning picture of his underhand methods, his duplicitous nature, a need to constantly hurt people, and even when on such a decline managed to get so many to climb into his bed. He really does have a thing for taking advantage of a certain type of woman, and he has a thing for being every cliche every normie hates about YouTubers. And as a final thing, Richie is very good at recognizing when he screws up, but apparently he only ever realizes he's made a mistake when he's finished inside a woman.
And when I finished with another woman for the first time, all I could think of is
fudge.
Not again.
That was the moment, not the part where he, air quotes, accidentally slipped inside. Right. Okay. Get help, Richie.
God. How can he wear this crap? God, it's so edgy. I look like the last member of Kiss, you know, after they all died. And now I look like the Joker after a really sweaty evening at home with the missus, if you know what I mean.
Do you know how I got these scars, Batman?
I tried drinking out of my bottle earlier, right? My baby bottle, and it got black lipstick all around it. Ugh. Should have left all that on, to be honest, because I looked fabulous! Fly, my pretty, fly away! Shut up. Shut up. The real slim hipster, that is Social Repose. As I mentioned multiple times in my section beforehand, Richie, Social Repose, is somebody who has
attempted to latch on to internet relevancy by continually holding on and talking about and uploading videos talking about the situation with Jacqueline Glenn, and of course that also extends to his music. Now, unlike other commentators, I'm not particularly bothered about his affair and cheating on Jacqueline Glenn. I don't know her, I'm not really that bothered. What I am bothered by is his use of mental health for manipulation purposes, and also acting like a victim when people call him out for his crap. I mean, Inaba isn't exactly a commentator who should really be calling anybody out, to be honest, when he lives with Alex. You know, the false accusation person against Lazo. Yeah. But shade aside, social repost, Richie, sir. When you decided that you wanted to make a video moaning about Mr. Repsion and Inaba and FPS Diesel, did you really think it through? Because you've really changed your tune here. For example, here's the video of him not accepting criticism.
Did you know that in 2020, the combined length of all the commentary videos made about me is about the length of James Cameron's The Titanic? Remember that movie? Leonardo DiCaprio? I did a response video to all the drama, and it just made it so much worse. And normally the reasonable thing to do in this situation is just to ignore it. As a creator or somebody, you know, you want to take the high road. But I'm gonna be real here, fam. Like, I'm sensitive. This is chipping away at my brain. It hurts a lot. All these hate videos, like
And here are his words back from 2016-2017 when these things were okay. So, because Social Repose is with Full Screen Network, an MCN, a multi-channel network, and they claim everything, so much for him being fully independent, Richie? I will now read what it is he said in this video like a complete plonker. A lot of you know that I've been partaking in a little bit of YouTube drama in the past month or so with Tyler Hegan and Onision, and it caused me to think a lot about the subject, and whilst we were making these 10 to 15 hour drives, I kinda came to the conclusion that in the defense of YouTube drama and its entertainment value, that maybe all of YouTube drama isn't so bad. Not all YouTube drama is horrible. Sometimes it provides really good entertainment, sometimes at the expense of a YouTuber or the people fighting, but YouTube is all about entertainment. Just because most of my videos are singing related or covers or original music, it doesn't mean all of them have to be. Sometimes if I feel like throwing shade at somebody or throwing the whole tree, I can do that. That's the beauty of YouTube. So next time you see a fight break out on YouTube over some YouTubers, pull up a chair, bring some popcorn, and let it fizzle out itself. It will always work itself out. It doesn't really need all the repetitive comments to add to it. And I guess the last little anecdote to leave you for today, as I have to play a show in about an hour, condemning a YouTuber for being a drama magnet is like condemning a professional bodybuilder for lifting weights. It just doesn't really make any sense. YouTube is based off of views, and whilst it is a fantastic place to showcase brand new ideas and works of art, it is also meant for entertainment, so just remember that.
Somebody looks like a hypocrite. I was just saying, mate.
I don't know why you're whinging about it when you continuously bring it up over and over and over again. Move on, man. Move on. If you take a nice stroll over to the Social Repost channel, you'll see that from the moment the drama with Jacqueline Glenn and the rest of the internet started, his channel has just been plummeting and plummeting and plummeting, and with it, his composure, shall we say, gradually becoming more and more unhinged as time goes on. Tell me, Social Repos, why are you so public about these kinds of things? Seriously, why are you so public about everything? All of this stuff that's been mentioned by this many commentary channels at this point should have been kept behind closed doors. Now, I of course understand wanting to talk about personal aspects of your life is something that I do.
I think that it's a great way for a content creator to be able to relate to their audience, and talking about very personal things can also help people not feel alone in the world. But you don't have that many people in the way of sympathetic ears. Except for, I would imagine, the people who enjoy your music and attend your concerts. Do I think that it's unfair that people have compared you to Onision? Yes. Do I still think that you're a massive crybaby and can't handle any form of criticism and are a massive narcissist with a gigantic ego? Yes, I do. You have proven that time and time again. Now, this may sound a little bit contradictory, but there is something about social Repose that I both like and severely dislike about him. When he first started off, he was doing quite well, considering. I mean, this was old school YouTube. He was uploading vlogs and short music videos or just quick covers. Every so often he'd upload a music video. But as his channel grew, he started to insert himself into what was popular. He did very much come across like a trend chaser. Every YouTuber likes to think that they're special, but from the surface, social Repose, looking at your channel as someone who can remove themselves from the entire situation and look, the only thing that looked special to me was the fact that you dressed up and looked like some kind of crazy Marilyn Manson Mothman thing. You see you, the real you? It's very obvious when looking at your channel that you started off as this very creative, hipster-looking dude who wanted to make it within the music industry, but then as time has gone on, you've latched onto YouTube and YouTube culture itself. Reaction videos, inserting yourself into drama. And as your channel grew, you tried different things. Goth, emo, reacts to this in the title, appearing to embrace what I would imagine would have been criticisms and insults towards you. That said, over the years, you've quite clearly shared far too much of you and your life, choosing to have girlfriends and even ex-girlfriends in your videos. And right now, looking at your channel as it is, do you actually enjoy doing those things? Do you enjoy making those videos? I mean, your attempt as a content cop was downright laughable and exceptionally petty, might I add. You don't seem to understand that content cops are supposed to be about content creators whose egos have completely left Earth at this point, and how their content has been lazy and not very transformative or informative or even entertaining. But the girl that you went after, for what reasons, why, I still don't know, to be honest, and I've watched your video on her and there was just no need for that. Hence why we're making a content constable on you now. And to finally finish off my segment, so we can of course get back to Omegon, Richie, you are a narcissistic, egotastical individual. You're somebody who started off on this platform as a fairly humble, bit hipsterish content creator. You are a self-made guy and everything, but you allowed those numbers to get to your head. And then you used said numbers to use the power dynamic that is often created when a YouTuber reaches a certain height to then get into the pants of young ladies. I mean, certainly that's one comparison to Onision that I could definitely make, using your ego to then effectively make sweet, sweet love to all of your fans. I mean, I know you're into music, but, you know, hair metal was quite some time ago. The days of just sniffing a bit of Charlie, throwing TVs out of hotel rooms, and just having all the wild, you know, naughty, naughty fun time, those days are over, and you will be heavily criticized for it. And, of course, instead of moving on from everything, you just kept going on about it. The drama with Jacqueline Glynn. And then when somebody comes along and criticizes you, you moan and you moan some more, and then you moan again. Whatever happened to 2016, Richie, I'll never know. Perhaps you only said those things at that time because you knew you had the power to defend yourself. But now, Now that you've been caught out, you can't handle it. And do you know what? That happens a lot on YouTube. That happens a lot on YouTube. Anyway, I'm sick of talking about social reposts. Back to you, Omega.
This video should serve as a reminder that while drama channels and other reactionary channels just point and say you are nothing more than a trashy person who has committed trashy acts and then done trashy things in response, I, along with Alex, want this video to serve as a notice that others pay more attention and want you to see just how far you have fallen. You possess the introspection to be aware of how far you've fallen, because on multiple occasions you've referenced your channel's dead. You had it all, built it all, stood out and were really making something that benefited many people. Your music is testament to it, because many of your fans spoke up about how your music influenced them and saved them. Yet, you took advantage of many and have become the instrument of your own destruction. When all else fails, Richie, blame someone else, because you're really good at that.